Loan officers are so intimidated and so scared of reaching out to their database or adopting a realtor's database or adopting a CPA's database. It is literally like the easiest thing in the world when you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. Don't do step 4 until you do step number 3. And it allows you to be able to follow a model. If you can follow a model, if you can walk up the stairs, you can do the client concierge process. It's not like you take a step forward and you jump backwards. It's you take a step forward, you take another step forward, you take another step forward. If you can walk up the stairs, you can do the client concierge process. It's really that simple when you follow that systematic way. Hey guys, Wally Olier. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. You know, I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. All right, so tell us, who is Mike?
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing your wealth of knowledge with everybody. You know, I've been in the industry, the mortgage industry, since April of 1999.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I was, right off the bat, I was exposed to some pretty cool ideas, kind of what shaped my practice, if you will. You know, Barry Habib had a big influence on me. Yeah. In that he, when he was at CTX, there was Sue Woodard, Jim McMahon, and Barry, and we, as a producing sales trainer, we were on calls, quite a bit. And Barry, had a chance to talk to him at one of our sales rallies, and he goes, "Mike, you're like a box of Cheerios. People can get you anywhere." And I said, "Well, thanks, Barry. What do you suggest?" He goes, "Well, I can tell you that you can separate yourself from the pack by learning about how life insurance impacts families, how financial planning, get your Series 6 and 63, and really not necessarily get the license to sell those products, but at least know." So I took that to heart and began to do that, and created a little brand for several years called Equity Man, full on with the cape and the big E right there. But something happened in 2008. There was really no more equity to talk about. People weren't interested in what to do with the equity in their home and how to manage it strategically. So we kind of revamped, but never went far from trying to be the customer's trusted advisor, financial quarterback, whatever you want to use. So when I saw I think I first saw you being interviewed by Todd Duncan. And I go, this guy's created a practice that's, it's not just a single column type enterprise, but, you've diversified with the offering and, approaching the wills and trusts attorneys and approaching, the financial planners and the CPAs and everything that, a homeowner, they need to have these professionals in their pocket, to help them cross the financial goal line. So the concepts that you've written about and are teaching, really, I resonate with that and go, 23 years later, Mike, you haven't implemented this. Well, you have, I have implemented some of it, just not consistently. So I think that's the key. And so, man, when I saw your offering, I go, man, I'm going to, this is a guy that's, been there, done that. And I want to see if I can, emulate what he's done and, be consistent with it. So have I implemented everything 100%? No. No, I don't. It's it is a process, and the first thing is going through your database and figuring that out. Who are you going to call? The times that you put on your calendar that you're going to call these people, and what you're going to say. And I think that's pretty big too. Not to be reading from a script, but hey, the purpose of my call is, have you gotten your first statement from the servicer? Do you know when to make your payment and who to make a pay? Who to make it to? Has there been a change in the servicing? These are all things that customers don't even know to think about. Like, hey, I got a cancellation notice on my homeowner's insurance. Really? Okay. So that's happening a lot in California. Customers are calling me saying, hey, I got a cancellation notice. What do I do? So if you don't have an answer for them, they're going to get an answer somewhere. But if you get an answer for them, it's like the story where the boy removes the thorn from the lion's paw.
Yeah.
And then the lion becomes a protector and a friend for the rest of the boy's life. So I think, you solved a lot of problems helping them get in the home or getting the low rate or just answering a question whether they should refi or not, what kind of loan they should get, and then the follow-up I think is huge. So yeah, I know this is all stuff that you've implemented and are doing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's what I love so much about your journey. It's pretty darn similar to mine, believe it or not. So I started in 99 also. I don't remember what month, so I'm impressed that you remember what month you started, but it was somewhere in 99. And I also work for CTX. And because I'm in Dallas. Where are you?
I'm in Northern California, a little town called Petaluma, about an hour north of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Nice. So I'm in Dallas, and there's a big. It was one of like the big three at CTX. Rodney Anderson. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Rodney, I was a 19-year-old punk kid. I was in Rodney's LOA, and Rodney would let me sit in the corner of his office, and I had my little tape recorder on the ground, and I'd record. Again, 19 years old. I'd record what Rodney said in these loan applications. So Rodney would do these face-to-face applications back to back to back to back. And what was interesting is when I went home and studied the recordings, there was a lot of similarities, almost identical, meeting after meeting after meeting. And I realized he had a script memorized. He was saying the same thing. So I started writing down what he said. And within 6-7 months later, his scripts is what I memorized. And that's what taught me the mortgage business. So it was like Rodney's words coming out of my mouth. And so it was pretty awesome, man. I mean, my first year in mortgage broke 6 figures in income. It wasn't really the smartest way of doing business, but I would door knock apartment complexes and say, hey, what if I can show you 100% financing option, 80-20, 100% financing option that the monthly payments were less than what you pay for rent in this apartment. And then I'd pick up applications from door knocking apartment complexes. Then, if you remember, we kind of had a refi boom. Rates went from 11% down to 9%. And then I was door knocking houses, pitching refinances and pitching cash outs. So, I was always a hard worker, always from like day one in mortgage. But I was definitely not the smartest of the batch, right? It would always be my grit, my muscle instead of my mental hustle. And once I learned I think, the first time I really started understanding how to turn your database into a data bank was probably 2000. And I knew it was important like in 2015. And, but my database management back in 2015 was when rates went low, I hit the slide dial button and slide dial 500-600 past clients. And it'd take me like 3 weeks to return everybody's calls because it would just be so many floods backs of calls. You know what slide dial is?
Yeah, I've heard of that, like phone burner, slide dial.
Imagine like, have you ever picked up your phone and there's a voicemail there on your phone, but it never rang? It's me embedding a voicemail on your phone. It's like, oh, hey, it's Wally. Sorry I missed you. I wanted to let you know I've got your mortgage in front of me here. Looks like I can save you, drop rate, da-da-da-da. And I just get phone calls back in the bar, and the clients thought I took the time to call it. What was super cool about that is you realize the power of the database. I mean, I think That was the first year I broke 100 million in production in
Wow.
2016. And as I kept on going down that path, I realized it was really difficult to get to 100 million with only realtor based business. It wasn't fun, and it was really difficult. So the next 3 years, from 2016 to 2019, I really focused on building out the team that they were able to handle the realtor relationships from A to Z. They'd handle the open houses to the converting the leads, going through the application, doing the high trust interview, locking in the loan, total cost analysis, pipeline management. And once I got in 2019 the time back, it was like gangbusters, man. Going from 100 million in 2019, 150 million in 2020, then 200 million in 2021, and beyond from there. And once I brought in the 6-lane highway and getting business from a realtor, referring out to a CPA, a financial advisor, a family will attorney, and an insurance agent, then also the data bank from there, on average, we refer out on average over 200 referrals a month. Out over 200 referrals a month now. And then on average, so far, the last 3-year average has been over $2 million in commissions that we refer out $2 million in commissions. So the ability to be able to attract high-level realtor groups that have monster databases, the ability to be able to attract high-level financial advisor firms, CPA firms, insurance firms, family will attorney firms that have huge databases, has been such a gangbuster blessing. So what really excited me about me talking to you, Mike, is you're number one. So so everything is scored out in the client concierge process. And that tells me that you've got the highest amount of points. Or the highest amount of points, that talks about how you went through each of the course. You took the time to understand the notes. You took the time to pull the scripts from each one of the courses. You took the time also to pull the purpose, the technology stack, and from there. So what I'm curious to kind of understand is what has been some of your successes. Then I want to talk about some of your struggles. Then I want to try to help you with your struggles so you can keep implementing. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And so the thing that is crucial, right, is the implementation part.
Yep.
So that's probably where it's like, okay, have you gone through your database and decided who you're going to set up on the systematic calling? And when you're calling them, have you done it the night before so you can walk into your day knowing who you're going to call? I think that's probably, that's so go over those 3 things again. Yes, I did go through the videos. I looked at the scripts. I looked at how you're executing that in the tech stack that you've embraced. And then you have a team that are just rock stars at, picking up the phone and either getting the appointment or, talking about what this call is about. So what were the 3 things again? I know it's like, what do I need help with? How do I implement?
Yeah. So just tell me some of your successes. So, I guess before your successes, let's jump into, so you saw me on Michael Mayer's podcast, and then it was Michael Mayer, right?
No, I saw you on, I think the first time was at a mastery. They did a recording. And I thought, wow. Yeah.
Got it. So, so were you on the webinar that I launched the product on, I'm assuming?
I think I was. Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
It was like in August.
Yeah. But who was that with?
No. So I did the webinar in August launching the program, or I guess, how did you buy the program then?
That's what I'm trying to remember. You were talking to somebody, and it was somebody, an industry person. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Okay.
I don't remember 100%, but what I saw was, is in conjunction with, your book release.
Yep.
And
might have been Dave Savage then.
Pardon?
Maybe it was Dave Savage.
It was
Mortgage Coach. Okay.
It was, yeah, Mortgage Coach Trust Engine. So that's the new evolution there. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And I go, you know what? This is perfect because, I'm not a newbie. Actually, I'm like kind of an OG. But for a person that's just like you got to sit at the feet of Rodney. You were a great student, but even more than that, you implemented. So that's the key right there. What do they say? Education without implementation is entertainment.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
We've heard that one. So I think I have the database.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have the connections. So what I'm finding is, it used to be you go into your day and kind of, for me anyways, not the poster child for how it's supposed to be done. But when you have business coming in the door, some of these things, you don't really don't need to be tightened down as much. But in times like this, it's like, okay, what is your day starts the night before, right? And then you walk in. I mean, is that what you have all this stuff mapped out before you even, hit your desk in the morning, probably.
Yeah, 1,000% mapped out. And then also on top of that, I am trained myself to follow my calendar. When I would try to time block, I'd failed at that immensely. And you have a block on your calendar. I'm going to prospect during this time frame. In mortgage, stuff would blow up, things would happen, and it would be, I'd have to go jump on whatever to go fix whatever 911. But what I've learned is when I've got an appointment, I'm on time to that appointment. When that appointment is on my calendar and that appointment has a calendar invite and the borrower is on that appointment, I'm not going to be late to that appointment. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I made myself accountable by hiring a $15 an hour employee that would call and schedule these calls for me, which was a client concierge. And once they called and scheduled and taught them that script that's in the client concierge product, once they called and scheduled those appointments, they send an email calendar invite to the borrower, put me on it. It hits my calendar. So I got the email calendar invite out. Then they pull for me the CD from the last closing, my Jungo notes, that last conversation I had with that borrower, and then also my last total cost analysis, and lastly, my HomeBot link. So now I've got all the data that I'm going to need to be able to talk about with that. They email it over me. It goes in the calendar invite. I go to my calendar invite. I click on the button, opens it. All the data is there. I spend 3 to 5 minutes, maybe familiarizing myself with that client. And then I just jump into the mortgage efficiency checkup. And that's worked out extremely well. I can fit in 15 to 17 appointments on my calendar a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like you, what's that?
Sorry, go ahead. Let him finish.
Well, no, I'm like a crack addict when it comes to like efficiency. Once I figure out a way to efficiently do something, it's like, it's just a fix. Like I have to do it that way.
Yeah.
When it was left to me, Mike, for me to call, for me to schedule, for me to be able to reach out and do the mortgage efficiency checkup, 99 things would get in the way. Yeah. So to me, hiring a $15 an hour employee that makes 125 outbound dials a day, talks to 35 to 40 people a day, and schedules 5 to 7 mortgage efficiency checkups a day for me, it was 1,000% worth the investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if, what you've done and what you've created is like, that's not common. Right.
What do you mean?
Well, they say that, when you look at what we, earn because of the value we bring to the market, if you look at a doctor's salary, the Kaiser doctors, like the first few years, they make like $60,000 before they really hit their specialty. Which is amazing to me because they went to school for, how long. But what can I bring in kind of that's a first for like 15 months. I worked for a little company called New York Life during the downturn because I had always been focused on, income replacement for families if there was a tragedy or, I just feel like life insurance is a good thing. But there was a guy up in Sacramento who was a life insurance agent with New York Life, and I had the opportunity to do a site visit. And he only worked with Kaiser doctors, married to Kaiser doctors.
Okay.
So, talk about a specialty. But what I'm doing is I'm connecting the dots between what you've done and somebody else who is like massively successful because they had a system. So, I walked into the office, I was greeted by the concierge person, and this says, come on in. This gentleman, he passed away at a pretty young age, but he's got 4 people to see in the morning. He's got 4 people to see in the afternoon. So I was able to sit there in the morning session. All his things were stacked up on his desk, when there was physical copies, and he would talk to him. And so he did this like 5 days a week. And when I saw what you were doing, I'm thinking, Wally's got this, he's got this dialed in. He's got people doing stuff to set him up to do what he does best. Mm-hmm. And definitely we're going to implement pieces of that. So I'm not even, I couldn't compare myself to, yourself, because you're so far, ahead, but you've left the blueprint, and really it's just a matter of, implementing that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. But one thing and I'm not bashing myself, but English is my second language. I'm ADHD, I'm dyslexic, and I've got dysgraphia, all unmedicated. The learning disabilities, I can't spell cat to save my life. The learning disabilities I have, and if you saw my handwriting, you would think I'm a doctor or something. But one thing I've learned that I do really, really well, that God's blessed me with, there's so many things he's chosen not to bless me with for whatever his choice is. But what he's chosen to bless me with is the ability to take something incredibly difficult, size it down to smaller pieces, and structure it in the best organized fashion possible to be able to bring it to life the most efficiently. And that's what my passion in the academy is. So that's what my passion in the client concierge product is. Yeah. Loan officers are so intimidated and so scared of reaching out to their database or adopting a realtor's database or adopting a CPA's database. It is literally like the easiest thing in the world. When you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, don't do step 4 until you do step number 3. And it allows you to be able to follow a model. Mm-hmm. If you can follow a model, if you can walk up the stairs, you can do the client concierge process. Mm-hmm. It's not like you take a step forward and you jump backwards. It's you take a step forward, you take another step forward, you take another step forward. If you can walk up the stairs, you can do the client concierge process. It's really that simple when you follow that systematic way. Yeah. Because unfortunately, we're in an industry that not everybody likes the systematic way. So the people that I'm watching excel in the client concierge process, and people that I'm watching excel in the 24/7 mindset, community that we have, are the ones that understand there's a system, and all you have to do is simply follow the system. Yeah. And I don't think my system's absolutely perfect. I think the system is built the best of my abilities. So if you see a way to make it more efficient, share, tell me, tell the group, tell others, right? Yeah. There's no ego that, hey, well, that's not the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. No, we can all learn from each other. So what excited me the most is, what I want to hear is like, what are some success stories that Mike has had when you started to implement this?
Yeah, well, we're in the implementation stage right now.
Good.
I would say the fact that there is the blueprint, and to just start doing it is huge. So I don't have a real great like, oh yeah, I've done this and this and it really works. I'm forcing myself, like just for me personally, I'm gonna just be transparent. I've got the morning routine thing going, and then getting into the day and having that on the calendar. Knowing what to do and then doing it. Sometimes there can be a disconnect. So, the idea of, Mike, just do it. You're hurting yourself by not implementing this. And so I think that, that's where I'm at right now on today's call right now, is getting everything in place. And I don't want to sound like, you're getting ready to get ready. It's not that. It's just, like you invested in this thing. Let's begin to systematically put it in place. What would be helpful for me is a time where maybe the other people that are implementing this, let's maybe do it together.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
Like what do you mean?
Because I ripped through the material and said, yeah, this is totally cool. Even the even the idea of walking in, they say you're never supposed to show up at somebody's house with your arms the same length, meaning you're always bringing it. And that's the beauty, Wally, of of this is like, hey, like I'm going to help you. But okay, so back to the question, how could your team help folks that are trying to really put this in? It might be like a once a week, let's get on here and like, this is your database, or this is Jungo, and this is how you put in, you block your calendar on who you're going to call. If you don't have somebody making the calls for you, you got to make the calls. Then you got to set the follow-ups and do it that way. So yeah, maybe something like that, because this isn't the other part of this business is the networking and calling new potential folks who could use your services or know people who can use your services. So this part could be a full-time job implementing all this, but once you get it set up, there's still going to be tweaks and maintenance. But I guess what I'm saying is like, okay, Mike, you don't have time to implement this stuff. What are you doing? Well, yeah, I have my database of my past clients, and I have 15 financial planners, 15 attorneys that do will and estate planning, and 15.
How do you identify those?
I have them. They're my Google. They're labeled. I have labels in my Google contacts. That's my CRM right now.
Okay.
So
are these ones you've got relationships with, or do they not know who you are?
No, they know who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 1,000 that don't know who I am, but the 15 that we've done business together, and and I'm one of the things as a reverse mortgage specialist is that I've the financial planners are great, but the in-home care providers are folks that I've been focusing on too, because with them there's an immediate need. They have customers who need their care. They got to find out how to pay for it. So
what are those called?
In-home care, either CEOs of in-home care companies or directors of in-home care companies. And they're like 813 in California.
That's smart.
It is smart, but it's wild, wild west out there, because there are so many customers that these providers aren't in competition with each other. They're actually trying to work together because the needs are so immediate. You ask a in-home care CEO and say, hey, what's your ideal client like? And they'll say, well, the client that we are able to care for 24/7, because we're in the home, it's easy to schedule, and it's one customer paying us X amount of dollars. And I said, well, how many of those customers do you have that are like that? They said about 10%. I go, 10%? I go, what would it be like if you had 30%? And they go, it would be amazing. I go, well, why don't you have that? They said, what it boils down to, Mike, is money and paying for care. And I said, like a good attorney never asks a question they don't know the answer to. I'm leading them to say, hey, have you, if I could help you find the money, would that be beneficial?
Yeah.
They say, well, of course. And I said, well, yeah, you should weave a reverse mortgage conversation into your intake form because there is a resource there. All I do all day long is think about the needs of seniors. I'm like so far away from the first time home buyer, millennial, first time home buyer and all that. And the realtors, there is a, play for realtors for reverse mortgages when people are right sizing. But, in my area, they're not making any more land. And so inventory is tight. So this is the market I've chosen to focus on. So now I have to weave Wally's 24/7 mindset and the data bank principles into my relationships with the in-home care folks. because they're like the DMV. There's people lining up to see them, and they're out. They don't have the resources. They need some of the structure around their practice to be able to help people more efficiently, because you've got to have people that go into these homes, that have been vetted, that have been trained, that understand the needs of the seniors, and do it effectively. So it's a big deal right now. And I know probably in the the Dallas Metroplex, or I know it's a huge area, Plano, Addison,
Yeah.
Fort
So
Worth.
like I think what I really like about what you're saying is you're finding there's a niche. And what I like about the Wild Wild West, it tells me there's like no monopoly. There's no one like owning that space, right?
They're not.
So,
And the good ones are, they've implemented some of the strategies that we use in the the mortgage industry, with storytelling and like a menu of services. So there's a lot of room there for growth. But there's also, whenever you have an industry that's kind of can appear to be opportunistic,
yeah.
you also have the bad actors that get in there, and start messing with things. So
Yeah. I would say, what I like about what I was saying was, what I like about you talking about via the niche is the databases of these CEOs of the in-home care are huge. Um, Obviously, it's not a secret how profitable reverses are,
right.
and you don't need to do thousands of loans a year to make an incredibly high living doing reverses. So, have you looked at what would it need to look like for you to get access from those CEOs for the databases to do a mortgage efficiency type of call with those clients?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's interesting, Wally, that folks that help other people in this capacity, they tend to be more nurturing. If you look at a disc profile, how many caregivers are ID? Like none, right? And the owners of the companies, they usually came up from the ranks of being an in-home care provider.
Yeah.
And they felt like I think I can do a better job here. So to the question of how do I get access to the people that they're helping to start the conversation, I wouldn't expect them to start the conversation about a reverse mortgage, or where's the cheapest money to pay for mom and dad's care. That would be my job, right? That's what you're saying, is like, how do you get access to that? And I love that.
Well, I'd go to the CEO just like I go to a mega agent, or just like I would go to a financial advisor. I'd go to them and say, listen, hey, here's what I do for a living. Here's how I've been able to build my mortgage business for the sake of with my referral partners. But here's what's really helped me excel is my client concierge process post closing. So post closing, what I do is I do a 7-day call, I do a 30-day call, I do a 6-month call. Clearly, you see that I care about my clients. And then I do a call once a year called a mortgage efficiency checkup. What I do is my goal is to make sure the mortgage is running efficiently as possible. So when they go sell the home 3 to 5 years, 10 years from now, they walk away with the most amount of equity and they paid the least amount of interest. So that's how I've run my mortgage business. What does that mean to you, or why does that matter to you? Is I've got a whole department, which is led by me, that actually does this for my database. You, as a CEO of in-home care, you have clients that have mortgages that might be struggling paying you, or might need help to pay you, or could pay you more if they had more access to their equity, and or if I could help them eliminate and pay zero for a mortgage payment each month doing a reverse, or some reverse mortgages that we do actually pays them an income on a monthly basis if the home is paid off. So what I want to do is tell me about how do you look for opportunities, Mr. CEO, in your group of clients that you guys care for?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
What you want to identify is where their gaps are, where are their holes in the way that they mine their database, Where are the inefficiencies on them actually finding opportunities? Most people are receivers of business. They're not prospectors of business. There's a great quote. If you can teach somebody $1,000, if you teach someone how to make $1,000, they'll pay you that $1,000. If you can teach them how to mine their database, they'll give you their database. That's what I'm trying to say. So chew on that a little bit, then reach back out to me maybe next week or the week after. Let's maybe do another call. I want to plant a seed, and it's up to you, Mike, if you're going to water it or not.
Right.
So water it, reach back out to me, and then we'll set up another call, and then I'll help you put together an implementation plan of how to bring that to life.
That's great. Thank you. So we did some live coaching here.
I
love that. You know what's amazing is you're I don't know if you can repeat it or not, but you said I'm the leader of something, and the language that you used right there engenders confidence in the people you're talking to.
Oh yeah.
Because right now, the way I'm approaching it is like, I know who I am and I know what I do. But when I show up at, the Marin County Council on Aging or Section on Aging, I'm the only reverse mortgage person there. And I'm actually going to be speaking in a couple of weeks at their monthly meeting. But it's going to be, should I stay or should I go? What are my options? And it's all about, should I sell the home and move into a, kind of retirement living, or should I stay and then as the need happens, bring people in to bring folks into the home to help them.
Because the mindset I want you to have is I know a ton of loan officers, a ton. I don't know anybody bringing the client concierge process to the reverse mortgage space with in-home care providers like that.
Yeah.
What I like most about it, Mike, is you have the opportunity right at your fingertips to be the first one to market with us.
Okay.
You have two choices. There's a fork in the road. Fork number one, the right-hand side, you'd be the first one to market, first one to be successful out this, first one to grow and scale this. Over here, fork number two is like, do nothing with it, and you're going to find some other loan officer that becomes a competitor in your city. So, choice is yours.
All right, cool. No, I get it. I appreciate you putting the challenge out there.
All right, we'll circle back with you next week, next couple of weeks, and I'm happy to jump on another call and we'll work on implementation.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks everything you do for the industry and sharing your ideas and blueprints with us.
Happy to help, man. So I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.